I'm running away, Tom declared, his voice thick with frustration. Joe Harper, nursing a scraped knee, looked up from the ground. Running away? Where to? He asked. Tom kicked at a loose stone. Jacrson's Island. We'll be pirates, free from chores and school. Joe's eyes widened. He too was tired of feeling unloved, constantly nagged and misunderstood. The allure of freedom was intoxicating. Pirates, you say? I'm in, he exclaimed. As if on cue, Huckleberry Finn, the epitome of freedom in their eyes, ambled past. Huck, wanna be a pirate with us? Tom called out. Huck, never one to turn down an adventure, grinned. Now you're talking. Jacrson's Island it is then, he declared, his eyes twinkling with mischief. The boys gathered supplies, a tattered old sail, some fishing lines and a few precious apples pilfered from Aunt Polly's pantry. Their hearts pounded with a mixture of excitement and trepidation as they dragged a rickety raft towards the river's edge. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple as they pushed off from the familiar shore. The current caught their makeshift vessel, carrying them towards Jacrson's Island and their pirate adventure. With each stroke of the oar, they felt the weight of their troubles lift, replaced by the exhilarating promise of freedom. The gentle rocking of the raft and the cool night air lulled the boys into a comfortable silence. They had done it. They were free. Jacrson's Island, shrouded in darkness, loomed closer with every passing moment. Landing on the sandy shore, they felt a surge of triumph. This uncharted territory was theirs to conquer. Right then, first things first, Huck announced, ever practical. We need a fire and some grub. Gathering twigs and dry leaves, they soon had a crackling fire illuminating their little corner of the island. Their meager supplies, the stolen apples and some stale bread, were devoured with gusto. Each bite tasted like pure freedom. Being pirates is amazing, Tom exclaimed, his mouth full of apple. No rules, no chores, just adventure? Joe, usually timid, puffed out his chest. Aye, we'll be the fiercest pirates the Mississippi has ever seen. Even Huck, usually a man of few words, couldn't hide his grin. They spent the next hour regaling each other with tales of daring pirate raids, buried treasures, and epic sea battles. As the fire died down, casting flickering shadows on their faces, a comfortable silence fell. Underneath the bravado, a flicker of something else began to stir. A pang of guilt, perhaps, for the worried faces they had left behind. The silence of the island night was broken only by the gentle lapping of the river against the shore. Tom tossed and turned on his makeshift bed of leaves, a knot of unease tightening in his stomach. Joe? Huck? Are you awake? He whispered into the darkness. Can't a pirate get some shut-eye? Grumbled Huck, his voice muffled by the blanket of his old coat. Joe, however, sat up, his face illuminated by the dying embers of the fire. Just thinking about Aunt Polly, he confessed, his voice barely audible. She must be worried sick. Tom, despite himself, felt a pang of guilt. The stolen apples, Aunt Polly's worried face, it all came crashing down on him. We're pirates, remember? He mumbled, trying to convince himself as much as Joe. Pirates don't have families to worry about. But the words rang hollow, even to his own ears. The vastness of the star-filled sky above seemed to mock their smallness, their bravado. They were just boys, after all. Boys playing at being pirates. And for the first time, the weight of their actions settled upon them. The night stretched on, filled with whispered reassurances and unspoken fears. Sleep, when it finally came, was fitful and filled with dreams of worried faces and tear-stained letters. The morning sun, peeking over the treetops, brought with it a renewed sense of adventure. The previous night's anxieties seemed to fade with the darkness. Come on, slowpokes, Tom called, already splashing in the cool shallows of a secluded cove. This island is ours to explore. The day was a blur of exploration and discovery. They climbed the highest trees, pretending to be lookouts, their laughter echoing through the forest. They fished with bent pins and string, their faces flushed with triumph at each tiny catch. Jacrson's Island, no longer a mysterious shadow, became their own personal kingdom. As the afternoon wore on, they made their way to the far side of the island, the side that faced the town. Suddenly, Huck, who had been unusually quiet all day, grabbed Tom's arm. Look, he hissed, pointing to a spot in the distance where the river widened. A ferry boat black with people slowly made its way across the water. What are they doing? Joe wondered aloud, squinting at the distant vessel. Tom felt a chill run down his spine as he watched the ferry. They were close enough now to hear the mournful toll of a bell. Then, as if through a loudspeaker, a voice carried across the water, "Tom Sawyer, Joe Harper, Huckleberry Finn." The boys stared at each other, their faces pale. The gravity of the situation crashed down on them. They weren't just playing pirates anymore. They were presumed dead.